I think we're ready to begin. You guys ready? Welcome, everyone. Welcome. My name is Meagan Mermaid, and I am the author of the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck, as well as the forthcoming book, Mermaid Mystery School. And I'm so excited to be here with you today for our Equinox ceremony. And so today we're going to be talking about this theme that came to me called Radiating Grace. And what is this word grace? There's so many meanings, right? I mean, I grew up in a very religious upbringing, and I remember singing songs like Amazing Grace, but I never really contemplated what this term meant and really got into the power and the essence of this spirit of grace until last year. And that was when I was guided to the Gene Keys Mystery School teachings and course called the Seven Sacred Seals. And so the Seven Sacred Seals is kind of the mystery school esoteric aspect of the Gene Keys. And it combines all of this. Oh, look, we have, I don't know if you can hear outside, but my maintenance man is walking by and it's like very, very loud. So we're going to give him grace. And I'm going to feel grace for being interrupted, because you know what, speaking of that, we'll go back to this idea of grace, but I do want to share that last night I had the opportunity of seeing Marianne Williamson. She was speaking for her presidential candidacy, and I have been a huge fan of Marianne Williamson probably since maybe 2010. So what, like 14 years now? And I was guided to her book, Return to Love, and all of her teachings on A Course in Miracles. And now that she's been in this like presidential arena, like really advocating for what most advanced democratic societies already have. It's just been really interesting. And what I really took from her talk yesterday is that no matter what was happening, there was a baby that was crying or phones going off or all sorts of distractions, and she never missed a beat. And she showed up with so much humility and so much grace, which is that term for today, right? And I was just like so inspired by her embodiment and motivated as well to get out here and start this work. And, you know, one of the things that really stood out to me that she said was that rather than focusing on our wounds and focusing on what's going wrong, where we can really get stuck in, right? Even though it's good to do that work, she really said, like, you know, what we should be doing for each other is asking, like, what great thing are you working on and how can I help? Like, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be contributing to the good in the world. And she also said this really interesting thing yesterday. She said that we need a mother in the White House. And as I was preparing for this transmission and ceremony today, I was listening to a few talks by Richard Rudd, who is the creator of the Gene Keys and the creator and mystic and poet and visionary who brought forth the teachings of the Seven Sacred Seals. And he was talking about how the spirit of grace is like this mother energy. It's like, you know, when a child calls upon that mother, she comes. And that's what the energy of grace is. It's this powerful force of unconditional love and compassion that burns away anything that is not love and just allows us to feel that reconnection to source, no matter how lost we may feel. So we'll talk a little bit more about grace in just a moment. But what I want to share with you first is a few key points relating to the equinox. So if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, as I am, then we are celebrating the spring equinox. Otherwise, if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the fall. So the equinox today also marks the astrological new year. Well, actually, excuse me, the equinox is tomorrow, but you get what I'm saying. So the equinox is going to be officially at around 8 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, March 19th. So that's when we're going to be starting our group journey, 7 Days of Grace, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the end. But during the equinox and this first astrological new year. It's the first day of Aries season, and it's all about this rebirth. It's about going into this new chapter, but also anytime there's an equinox or a solstice, it's kind of like the energy or the spirit of the earth, Gaia, opens up to receive this energetic upgrade. And so, as above, so below, as she is receiving this energetic upgrade, so are we. And so, what's happening is that we have the opportunity in this portal to open to the space of grace. And grace is a mystery. I love how Richard Rudd shares that mystery school teachings are named that because the way that the transmission comes into your life, it is a living transmission, is a mystery. We can't say how grace will affect our lives, but we can say that it will be miraculous. And it can be something maybe that you've struggled with for years, and you invite the energy and the spirit of grace into that space of your life, or into a relationship, or into a limiting belief. And it can provide miraculous things for you as well as for other people in your life that will create this ripple effect. And so, it goes without saying, sorry, there was a hair on my computer that I had to kind of wipe away. So it goes without saying that there's a lot of suffering in the world, right? I mean, October 7th was the beginning of the genocide that's happening in Gaza, that's still occurring. And, unspeakable things are happening upon this earth right now. Unspeakable things all over the world. Suffering is occurring. And as we learn in the seven sacred seals, the first teaching is suffering is grace. So it's like this balance: wherever there is suffering, there is grace. And as we are in this equinox portal, there's a balance of light and dark. So this is that perfect moment to enter in to these teachings and to call in this energy of grace within our lives. So equinoxes are about finding balance as well in our personal lives. So I want you to consider, where in your life do things feel out of balance? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Do you feel tired? Those are indicators that something is off. Perhaps you feel out of balance in your masculine and feminine energies. Maybe you've been more in this dreamy energy because we've been in the energy of Pisces season for so long, and it hasn't been easy for you to feel motivated or to take action. And we're going to see that change as we move into Aries season. And maybe you feel more in your masculine right now than your feminine energy, where it's like you feel like you're always on the go, but you haven't had that time or space to just be. So you really need to get clear and maybe contemplate over the next few days. The equinox portal, just like moon portals, are often strongest the 3 days prior and the 3 days after. So we have a couple of days to really feel into this energy and to receive the truth of where we need to find that balance in our lives. And only you will know that. So also, as we have this huge equinox happening, which is really shaking things up, we also have the first of our eclipses of 2024 happening next Monday, which is March 25th. And that's happening, I believe, in the evening. I'm sorry, I did not actually check the time for that. So Leah or someone else, if you want to jump in, I know I was just asking you and I totally forgot what time that was. But the eclipse is happening next week in Libra. And so right now the South Node is in Libra. And so it's 12. Wow, of course it would be some like synchronistic angel number. Thank you so much, Leah, for providing that information for us. So eclipses are always here to shake things up. And often it's when things get eclipsed out and things get kind of moved, shifted, changed. And Libra is all about relationships. And Libra is also all about balance, wouldn't you know? So we have an opportunity in this next week or so where we can really move with the energy of grace to smoothly allow these transitions of what needs to fall away so that we can make the space for something new. Going back to this idea of grace, grace is really this undefinable energy. We can say its attributes. There are many attributes, but I would invite you to just really sit with that word grace and contemplate on it and see what comes up for you. You know, Grace is the 22nd gene key. And so the shadow is dishonor, and the gift is graciousness. The city is grace. So when we think about being gracious, that's when we're kind to each other, right? For example, if our children are acting out in some way, it's like grace is that force that allows us to not feel so triggered and to honor them where they are. Or when your cat is hacking up a hairball during your YouTube live, grace is that loving motherly kindness energy that forgives that. Or when you're dealing with someone, whether it be a partner or a parent or a coworker or a friend, graciousness and the energy of grace is just that namaste energy of just seeing the divinity in each other, of extending compassion, of extending love, of doing the right thing even when we want to be right. So grace is really this powerful force. And why would that teaching be called suffering is grace? I want you to sit with that and really decide what comes up for you. How is suffering grace? How do these two opposites work together? How do they complement each other? How do they need each other? If we have all of this suffering in the world right now, the medicine of grace is the one thing that can transcend all obstacles, all fears, and bring forth that motherly energy of the divine mother who loves us unconditionally and can teach us and guide us how to love. Ourselves and others in that same way. And of course, it's a practice. And that's why when we talk about that shadow of dishonor, it's when we dishonor ourselves by not taking responsibility for our actions, for putting things in the hands of other people. When I was in that talk yesterday with Marianne Williamson, she was sharing about how oftentimes when we look at these huge world issues, these crises that we're facing across the planet, how often have we thought about someone else is supposed to solve this? But that's dishonor, right? Grace is asking to be a vessel of that God consciousness in human form and saying, how can I help? How can I contribute? So, what we're going to do today is first pull a few cards and just kind of decide. I really like this word decide. It keeps coming through today. And maybe because decisions are related to balance, right? The shadow energy of Libra is about feeling that inability to take action or that inability to make choices. And so, what we need to figure out in this is where we're not deciding, perhaps, where we're maybe reaching this stalemate of non-action because we're afraid to take action, we're afraid to fail, we're afraid of success. Even there's so many ways that fear can keep us from moving forward, but we've got to honor it and we've got to name it and we've got to recognize that fear is an illusion and love is the only thing that's real. So let's move into the cards. And I'm going to be pulling a few cards from my deck, the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle. And I'm also feeling maybe, I brought the tarot deck and what other deck is this? Work Your Light Oracle deck. I really like this one by Rebecca Campbell. I like the colors. I'm a pink girl. I don't know about you guys, but I like pink. So maybe we'll pull a few cards from both of those decks since they're here next to me. All right. Also, I have to give myself a lot of grace for wanting to be further along in what I would be sharing with you today than what actually happened. And I feel like we kind of need to have that same grace for ourselves of asking, like, where am I judging myself, or where am I kind of punishing myself in some way for not being as far as I think I should be. And we can kind of bring in that spirit of grace today to investigate and get curious about that. And so, what I mean is that I've really been guided over the past few months to begin a course, or excuse me, to facilitate a course rather. I'm now a Gene Keys guide. So, I'm putting together a group journey through the 7 sacred seals. And so, just to be clear, as a guide, I won't be teaching the course. I'll be providing a space where all of us will be going through the material together, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about it and talk about how these transmissions are activating our lives. And when we meet, which will be twice a month for 7 months, we'll be reading the invocations, just like we're going to be reading the first invocation, the 7th seal, today. And we'll also just have this group container because, when I started the 7 seals last year, I was going through a very dark night of the soul moment. And there was so much in that radically transformed me and has continued to radically transform my life. And I've kind of always been a pioneer in many ways, and Aries is that pioneering energy of going first. But if we can do it together, it's so much nicer to have that support system. So, you know, that's why I got to extend myself grace today, because I thought I would have marketing materials, or I thought I would have a date when it would start, and I don't. So I'm just being real with you that that's where I'm at today. So the first step that we're going to take is we're going to go through the free Gene Keys mini course starting tomorrow. If you can't start tomorrow, you're welcome to do it at any time on your own. It's just when we do something with a group momentum, it creates even more opportunities for grace. So if you're curious about the energy of grace and the spirit of grace, there is this really powerful mini course that is awesome because it's already available and it's free of charge. And every day, Richard Rudd shares a little video. There's prayers. It's kind of like a 30-minute commitment every day. And you sort of invite in the energy of grace for 7 days and get a little taste of what is it like when I start working with the energy of grace? How does the spirit of grace want to come through in my life? So moving back into the cards, the first card that we have is Pearl. And so when we talk about Pearl, the mermaid empowerment is I'm willing to see the pearl of wisdom. And when we start to transform suffering into grace, it's this process of alchemy. And so, what is alchemy? Alchemy is transforming one thing into another. And how we do that through mermaid consciousness is by gathering our pearls. So, what that looks like is, rather than looking in this sort of, sorry, I'm just giving myself grace today because I feel like I'm kind of all over the place. So, thank you. I guess it's just grace in action. But anyway, so when we start to look at our own lives, we can look at it through this lens of being a victim of why is this happening to me? Or we can come from this more empowered space because that victim space is that energy of dishonor. We dishonor ourselves by thinking that life is happening to us because we take the power out of our own hands to shift it and change it. Instead, if we start to actively search for our pearls, what we discover is that every situation has a teaching. In the Gene Keys, we learn that every shadow contains a gift. So the gift is kind of like our pearl in many ways. What is the lesson that we are learning from whatever is happening that seems like it is challenging or frustrating or whatever it is? Could be something that's happening now. It could be a reflection of what's happened in the past. And when we think about this incoming eclipse with the energy of Libra, I'm feeling intuitively that it could also be relationship based. Perhaps there are relationships from the past. I mean, sometimes it could be a breakup that happened a week ago, a year ago, 10 years ago, or it could be a wound that occurred in childhood. But that idea that time heals all wounds is not true. We have to actually be present with the pain, the suffering, to transmute it into those pearls of grace. And so there might be something where you need to look at and ask yourself, what did this relationship teach me? Even if it was a very, very difficult lesson. And what I love about the teachings of the seven sacred seals is that it's sort of this idea of the permanent opening of the spiritual heart. And it's very connected to the Venus sequence, is another Gene Keys curriculum that goes into the opening of the heart. And I really recommend that if you have not done that uh, material, because it really just gives you that opportunity to dive deeper into the relationships in your life that you have now, as well as relationships that have come before, and find out, what is that pearl. So then we have creation. So this is our advice for the equinox. Creation is, I am the artist of my fairy tale life. That's the mermaid empowerment. And so we're in this new energy. It's the astrological new year. This is the time where we have this moment of rebirth. And, for us in the Northern Hemisphere, it's the energy of spring, where things are blossoming and things are blooming, which is kind of funny. I just happened to wear a dress that has flowers on it today. So it's really highlighting that point of our own lives blossoming in some ways. And we can call in that spirit of grace to bring the energy of the pearls that we've learned from the suffering, and then transmute them into our creations. So this is where we can create, whether it's a creative offering that you have, a course or a book, or, maybe it's something that has to do with art or music, or, maybe it's just something that you want to create in your life. Sit with that and ask, what am I ready to create? And where have I been putting off taking that action on the thing that I want to do? I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday about how, oftentimes we might think that this option is safe. So we go for the safe option rather than following our heart, because there's more risk involved, or we believe that's the key. We believe there's more risk involved. But really, the safest thing that we could ever do is follow our heart, because that's what's going to put us in the flow. That's what's going to open our heart. And when our heart is open, that's when we can let go of that fear and that overwhelm and step into the flow. And that's when the real magic happens. So the challenge that we're sort of overcoming is energy, the flow. I love how these cards just really, come through in such a magical way. The mermaid empowerment for the flow is everything I need flows easily to me. And so, we started out this lunar cycle with a lot of Uranian energy, where maybe there were a lot of disruptions or sudden changes. And, it might not have felt like things are in flow. So we also have to ask, where am I getting in my own way and trying to make things happen instead of surrendering to that flow? When we think about that energy of grace, I think of it almost like this baptismal light water, where it's just like flowing through our awareness wherever it needs to go. And so the correct action that we have today is gratitude. Gratitude and generosity are two ways that will always get you back into the flow. The mermaid empowerment for gratitude is, I have an attitude of gratitude. And also, if you want a copy of the mermaid empowerment oracle deck, you can find it in that link that I listed below on my website at meaganmermaid.com. And so this energy of gratitude is just this energy of appreciation. And, it's easy to feel grateful for the things that are going well, right? But what if we started getting grateful for our pearls? What if we started getting grateful for the suffering? Because the suffering is that door opener for grace, right? It's like grace is like this superhero. It's like grace to the rescue, right? But there has to be that element of someone or something suffering in order for grace to be called on. So how can we start getting grateful for the suffering that's happening in our own lives as a collective? And that is mastery, to begin to really see things in that level and that perspective, because it's very easy easy to judge, and it's very easy to point a finger, and it's very easy to feel hopeless because there's just so much suffering. But suffering is grace. So let's start at least being willing to feel grateful for that, whatever the lesson is that we are going through in this moment. So the other possibilities card we have is the journey. And the mermaid empowerment for the journey is I celebrate every step of the journey. And so this is so important. You know, I was listening to another talk by Richard Rudd, and he was saying something along the lines of if is the creation of all suffering. If I was here, if I was in this relationship, if this was different, if this changed, if I lost 10 pounds, if, you know what I mean, if I was younger, we can go on and on and on. If. But that if is keeping us from what is. So we want to get out of if into is. What is? How can we be grateful for what is instead of long for what if? Okay. So that's where we get into that energy of how can I celebrate this step? How can I celebrate and feel grateful for my suffering? Man, that is an assignment. And what better time to do that than when we have this very powerful portal of energy open? So finally, we have this card support. And the mermaid empowerment for support is I'm surrounded by love and support. So I just want you to take a moment and feel into your body. All right, Isis, are you okay? She's having a moment again. And if you guys could send some energy to Isis, she's just been having a little bit of a tough time the past few days. And so, you know, if you could just find it in your heart to just send her some love so that she doesn't have to experience these uncomfortable feelings of throwing up. It's never fun. Isis must be purging for the collective too. But yeah, so we need to think about when was the last time you felt really supported? And oftentimes, the shadow side of codependency can also look like hyper independence, which I've experienced a lot of times in my life where it's almost like we feel that support isn't there. So we don't even ask for it, right? And suddenly we start to kind of create these patterns and behaviors in our lives where we're not even asking for help. And pretty soon it's like, you know, we've got all of this weight on our shoulders and we don't even know how to let it go. We don't even know how to move past it. So how do we move past it then? Grace. Grace is the answer for everything. How do we just call in that spirit of grace and ask to be flooded with support? That's something that we need in this moment. So I think what I'll do then is I'll just pull one card from the Work Your Light deck and one tarot card. Also, I know that there were some astrological transits that were happening with this equinox that were supposed to be really good. Of course, I can't remember them now. I know one of them has to be, again, extending more grace to myself that I did not have as much time to prepare as I thought I would. But one of them is this Neptunian energy. So you know, Neptune is really connected to the spirit realm and connected to these higher frequencies. And the whole, curriculum and teachings of the seven sacred seals is about welcoming in these higher frequencies and then grounding them into the lower frequencies. And so it's these two forces that are occurring at once. Involution, which is the higher frequencies, that grace that's coming through and dissolving all of the fear, bringing in this higher wisdom. And then evolution is coming from the lower dimensions, the lower subtle bodies rather, and then coming back to sort of meet. And this is what we're doing with the work of the seven seals is bringing in the higher frequencies and letting them meet with these lower frequencies. Lower not being less than, just simply lower. It's just a way to kind of organize and explain dimensional frequencies. And Another thing that's really powerful about the seven sacred seals is that it has this blueprint for healing all of humanity's wounds. And so each of the seals has this wound that is um, covered, and then it talks about the gift or the path to sort of move through that wound, like forgiveness or grace or truth or many other sort of really powerful teachings. So, if you are interested in learning more, you can visit genekeys.com and look at the course Seven Sacred Seals. If you are interested in doing the group journey with me, I will be offering the course wholesale along with the price of the program. But again, details are to come. But if you're not on the mailing list, that's a great way to stay up to date. Interesting. We have the wheel and we have awakening. So let's talk about this card, awakening, first. Isis is really into this card. What do you think, Isis? What does awakening feel like? So it says energetic upgrades, a new way of being, and integration. So this is really powerful. Look at this. She is just literally levitating in the air and receiving. So if we could say in one word, what we're going to receive in the equinox, awakening, spiritual upgrades. Something is shifting and changing in our lives. But is she trying to make it happen? No, she's literally just laying there and letting the universe do what it's really good at doing, what it's been doing for trillions of years. So then we also have the wheel. And what's really interesting about the wheel is that it's about the turning of something, the changing, the shifting, but it's also kind of this energy of fortune. Like the wheel is turning in favor of something. And so I feel like there's a lot of change coming, a lot of awakening coming. And, as we've really just been present to whatever has shifted or changed in our lives over the past few weeks with this energy of this Uranian flavors that this whole moon cycle has been flavored with, then, all this had to move or shift so that awakening could happen. So the sooner that we can just be in flow, have gratitude for the lessons, start looking for the pearls, the deeper meaning, the sooner that we can get to that next step. So we're going to move into, I feel like we're just going to kind of leave it open right now. I'm going to read the Sacred Seals Invocation. And if you want to listen to it as well, there is a much more beautifully done version of this that Richard Rudd has recorded, and it also has this really beautiful music. So I encourage you to look at the link below and listen to that. Even if you kind of have it playing in the background, there's just something about these words. Richard Rudd is a mystic and a poet. So he has the ability to kind of bring the right words into these essences, almost like naming the unnameable in many ways. And so, when I was preparing for today's ceremony, oftentimes I'll get like, I got the theme, radiating grace, but then I'll be like, okay, my intuitive ears are open, the telephone lines are open. What am I going to be talking about? And this morning, as I was getting ready, I heard read the invocation. And I was like, sometimes we get the intuitive hit and we're like, really? I don't know. Maybe I misheard that. And like, I pulled some cards and all the cards were like, yes, do that. And then I was like, okay. I even asked Leah about it. And then as I was driving to get this candle, which is so funny because I didn't even realize when I got the candle that it had 2 wicks on it, and the equinoxes are always about the balance of 2, right? And so there's been a lot of synchronicities today. And so if you haven't already lit a candle, if you have one, this would be a great time to light it. If not, you can visualize that candle being lit within your heart. And as I was driving to get this candle, I somehow missed the exit. I was supposed to pull into. So I pulled into a different entrance, and as I was driving around to get to the store, I saw this print shop that was open, and I was like, "Oh, there's a print shop. That's interesting." And I heard print out the seals, and so I'm like, "Okay," or print out the invocation. So I go in, and then they print it out totally free. So it was just like sign after sign that, okay, this is what we're doing. And I believe it's simply because this is our way of poetically opening the space in this group energy. So if you want to just say, I invite the energy of grace, that's sort of giving yourself permission to receive this on behalf of yourself and the world, all those who are ready and willing to receive this spirit of grace. So feel free to even type it in the chat. I invite the energy of grace. And I invite you, as I read this, to just allow yourself, just as we would any channeling or transmission, to simply just relax into this space. If you're in a space where you can close your eyes, free from distractions, obviously no driving or operating, heavy lifting, just have to give that disclaimer, then let yourself just receive it. And if you've heard this before, be open to hearing it in a new way. And again, extend grace to me, because I have not read it in a long time. So, it's just one of those times of just being that open space of, okay, it gets to be through my voice today, but it's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us. It's simply this welcoming of grace because the planet desperately needs it right now. Okay, so as we're ready, Dawn is sharing, I invite the energy of grace. Beautiful. I'll give you guys just a moment if anyone else wants to kind of chime in. And again, if you've been praying for Isis, she has settled down, and she seems a little bit better right now. So thank you guys so much. It's never fun when it seems like our fur babies aren't feeling well. All right, so... And again, just as a reminder and a disclaimer, this is when you sign up. Oh, Amanda's sharing, I invite the energy of grace. Thank you, Amanda, for being here. Just as a disclaimer, again, I am a Gene Keys guide. I am sharing the information of the Gene Keys. This is not mine. I did not come up with this. And you can find this totally free. You can listen to the meditation, which is in the link that I've listed below. And if you join the 7-day mini course, then you can get the transcript. I wasn't able to find the transcript on the website without signing up for that mini course. So just to be in full integrity and by honoring the source, I didn't put the link for you to transcribe it yourself. So today you just get to receive or to download the transcription rather. All right. And if you like this invocation, if you want to learn more about the seals, visit that link below, sign up for the 7 days of grace, and I'll be sharing more about the group journey. And this is something that we're going to be doing in our group journey meetings. We're going to be reading the invocations together. So I get to be the first, as usual. All right. So let's just take a deep breath in, exhaling it out. Taking another deep breath in, exhaling it out, and taking one final deep breath in, and exhaling it out. And we now consecrate this space for only the highest vibrations of love, truth, healing, and peace. And we choose to align with the highest frequency of love, the highest good of all, and the highest timeline for all. So may our hearts be open, and may we receive this beautiful spirit of grace through these words. We begin this invocation with the blessing of the 5 elements, beings of the pure light in the holy higher worlds. We stand here before you in communion and reverence. We lift up our hearts and hold our minds pure for the duration of this invocation. We seek to align ourselves with the highest harmonies and frequencies of intelligence and light, that they may pierce us to the core of our being, opening us up to the arch of the infinite and coaxing us softly into the arms of our essence. We come to invoke the 7th divine ray, that we may partake of its grace. We come before you naked and vulnerable, with all of our wounds, our mistakes, and our past karma, visible and transparent. We hide nothing from the great light. We open our hearts, our minds, and our bodies up to you. We offer you every living cell and atom. We offer you our desires, our dreams, our longings, our holy intention. We offer you our gifts, our talents, our cities, our divine genius. We offer you our pain, our loss, our forgetting, our fear. We offer you our sadness, our anger, our lust, our selfishness, our denial, our shame, our cruelty, our guilt, and our indifference. Especially, we lay before you these many challenges of our humanity for your transmutation. We lay our mortality before you. We lay our life before you and come to you once again as a young child, a sweet, innocent infant, before fear, before hope, before suffering. We ask for your divine grace to begin dripping into our open, pure heart. We ask for your grace to stroke our bodies, to rustle through the tiny hairs of our skin. We open our full being up to your lustrous, wonderful, sweetening currents and emanations. We invoke the shower of luminescence, your holy light of the seventh ray. We throw our heads up to the sky and open our arms wide to imbibe the mystery of this inner light. We let it run softly down our bodies, harmonizing our seven subtle bodies with its delicate web of woven light. We breathe in the royal cobalt blue of the luminescent beings and their flashing gold scintilli, their blue gold filaments, and their soft feminine light alights on us as though the Great Mother herself has placed her sacred blue cloak upon our shoulders. We bow deeply to the presence of this grace, this holy Shakti that falls upon us from the celestial realms. We open our souls to the mystery of the dusk, to the moments of threshold in our lives. We embrace the wonder of the fading of the day into night as the holy inner light winds its precious way deeper and deeper into the form, and the first stars beckon and twinkle in the inner sky. We call it ourselves, this luminescent light. We call its wonder and its grace to go to work in our lives, to come and live with us, to create hidden passageways of harmony in the fractal tendrils of our life. We invite this luminescence to sparkle our life with miracles, to open, to enliven, to inspire, to sanctify all those we know, see, hear, think about, and connect to. We attune ourselves to the light of the star known as Sirius, the blue-white radiance of an intelligence so far beyond our own that we cannot yet conceive it. May the sapphire flame draw us further along our evolutionary curve. May it shine brighter within our bellies. May its purifying light shower its great blessings upon every sentient being here on our earth, Gaia. May it illuminate the hidden jewels that lie beyond our suffering. May it release the pure light and refine our spiritual perception to enter into the great mystery of the holographic divine universe. We bring special attention to the highest of our subtle bodies, the monadic body. May we come every day closer into communion with our highest zenith, to be one with the Godhead, to become a perfect aspect of deity, a divine shard shimmering in the great theater of the cosmos. May our hearts rise up to greet this ineffable eternal aspect of our consciousness. May we draw this great emanation down step by step through the 6 subtle bodies of our aura, infusing our life at every level with the divine scent of intoxicating truth and numinous love being. We are now alive in the stream of the 7th ray. We feel its super subtle emanation swirling through our bodies, touching us in dimensions that we can barely understand. We give great thanks for this special gift. We drift in your luminescent heavenly blues and golds. We allow your inner light to enter our intelligence at whatever level is suitable to our evolution. We allow it to find the divine cracks in our inner world and filter through the layers, opening us on levels that we may not be aware of. We smile as your gentle light of grace opens us up to a higher and higher reality. We prepare to receive the great archangel, Safkiel. Safkiel, an intelligence surpassing human evolution, a presence of love and bliss so far beyond us, beneficent, life-giving creature of almost unbearable purity. Great archangel of grace, we surrender all our striving to you. We surrender all to you. We court your divine grace, and we surrender not as servants, but as aspects of your great intelligence, not yet aware of our greater body as you. We let your sentient heavenly scent flood through us, filling this room with your exquisite, otherworldly aroma. Zapkiel, we allow you to lift us to a higher plane. We breathe in your grace. We open to its wonders, its mysteries. In naming you, we allow ourselves to be your conduit, to be a vessel of grace. We affirm to remember you in our lives. We affirm to work with the currents of the 7 sacred seals, your personal domain of understanding. We affirm to work with the energy of our suffering. We understand through your grace that our suffering calls us ever closer towards you. We understand through you that suffering is grace. We imbibe this greatest of all human truths. Suffering is grace. We let this truth resonate in every cell of our being. We let our DNA laugh aloud with its truth. We are a passage towards the divine, and our suffering is the river that leads us finally to the ocean of you, of I am. We humbly request the opening of the 7th seal. We know that the opening of such a sacred portal involves a relationship. We understand that the seal need only be opened from our side, remaining as it is permanently open from the higher side of its infinite compassion. We also understand there are no sides, but that such language serves only as a metaphor in which the frequencies of divine light can be invoked. We reach out for this opening with every atom of our consciousness. We see all our daily desires for what they are, yearnings for this connection to our greater body. We pour all those desires that we have towards you, but we do so without desperation. We simply long to once again feel the vastness of this love. We open our wounds up into the Great Seal. We accept our individual wound as an aspect of the world wound. We cradle this sacred wound in the palms of our soul. We offer it up to you like a hurting child for your healing. All over the world, we envision others also offering up this same wound for the sake of the healing of the whole. We remember that wounds of our ancestors, their fear, their violence, their grief, their guilt. In offering you our wound as the world, we offer you the memories and pain of our ancestors. We affirm that in working with the 7 sacred seals, that we will come into closer relationship with our own suffering and our own wound. We understand that compassion comes from this relationship. We draw down the deep breath of valor into our lungs and fill them with your righteousness. We proffer the wounds of humanity into the 7th sacred seal. We do this not as an imaginative exercise, but as an ongoing commitment to the healing of the whole. Zapkiel, we rejoice in the quality of your inner light as a gathering point for collective healing. We rejoice in the grace that contains and gathers together all the 7 rays and their 7 streams, their 7 lights, and the wounds that they are designed to heal. We honor the divine play in which that which is above corresponds to that which is below. We wonder that every aspect of human suffering has a corresponding quality of divine grace, an intelligence specific to its healing. We give great thanks for this perennial teaching of the 7 sacred seals that offers us a language to understand our suffering and unlock the hidden grace within it. We affirm that we are ready to enter into the stream of this holy transmission and that we are ready to make space for it to transform our life. We rejoice that we are standing on the brink of a new world. We revere the secret beings who are gathered together on the higher planes to incarnate through us as willing co-participants in the great change in which humanity will pass through the fires of purification. We recognize these teachings as the culmination of the teachings of Christ, of the Buddha, and of the ancient Hermetic teachings of alchemy. We acknowledge that their primary root, standing behind all, is the incarnation of the third aspect of the divine Trinity, the sacred feminine, or Holy Spirit. We prepare ourselves and our world for the coming of such a group incarnation, for the burgeoning of the field of a collective consciousness rooted in unconditional love, unchanging wisdom, and uncompromising truth. We give great thanks for this secret of the 7 sacred seals and its extraordinary transmission. We bow our heads to our higher self. We allow ourselves time to digest its truths. We imbibe the exceptional patience necessary for this great work to come to fruition. We bear testament to its authenticity. We shall continue to open this seal and to offer our suffering and that of others into this mystery. We bring this invocation to a close with the blessings of the 5 elements. Beings of the pure light and the holy higher worlds, we stand before you in communion and reverence. And so I just want you to take a moment and just feel if anything has shifted from these words. Feel into your body, your heart, your mind, and your spirit, and get curious about what it feels like to invite in that spirit of grace into your lives, into the lives of those that you love and care about, into the lives of people that you've never met, into the lives of all beings on this planet, into the trees and the plants and all of Gaia. What would it feel like if this spirit of grace was permeating every fiber of every atom, of every cell of consciousness? Because it is. And the more that we invite in this energy of grace in our own lives, the more opportunity the spirit of grace has in this mysterious and miraculous way to bring the blessings and the love and the compassion and the infinite potentiality for new solutions to arise in a world that desperately needs it. So just take another moment or two to just feel into the energy of grace. And I invite you to take a moment today and just sit with that. Perhaps you might journal anything that came to you, any feelings or words, or maybe there was an action step that came to you today. And continue to sit with this energy of grace and ask yourself as we go into the equinox, how can the spirit of grace bring more balance into my life? So, if you're interested in joining us in this group journey through the seven sacred seals, I'll be sharing more about how to do that in a little while. But that first step is going through the free mini course, 7 Days of Grace. And that will kind of give you a little bit of an introduction to the seven sacred seals. It will offer you daily meditations or teachings. And I've done it myself. I did it last week and it was really powerful, and it's only really about a 30-minute time commitment. So, it's not like a huge shift that we need to make in our days, but it's helpful. It's really helpful, and there's just something powerful of doing something as a group, as a collective. Where two or more are gathered, the energy is amplified. So I listed the link below of how you can sign up for free on the Gene Keys website for the 7 Days of Grace. And then I believe that just kind of letting me know whether you want to email me or direct message me if you're following me on social media and just say, hey, I'm joining, then most likely I'll probably at some point send out an email, or I don't even know. It's kind of just like I get one step at a time. Tell everybody to do the course. Okay. And then what? To be determined. So that's just kind of what it's like when we're living in that space of the flow, right? We get one step at a time. So thank you guys so much for joining me here. And again, if you want to work with me, I offer Gene Keys sessions. As a Gene Keys guide, I can walk you through your profile and support you in a space of your own contemplations of that profile. And you can also work with me by booking a pre-recorded or live Zoom session. I offer intuitive card readings, astrology readings, as well as galactic channeled readings. And so I am here to support you. And if you are a creator and you need support with your website, or you're doing a course or anything like that, I can also offer my support in that. So I have lots and lots of hats. Whatever you need, I'm sure I can help you. And either way, I'm just so just honored that you took the time in this space today to gather, whether you're watching live or on the replay. So I wish you just a beautiful, beautiful equinox, and may you continue to feel that spirit of grace in miraculous and mysterious ways. And I will see you soon. Have a wonderful day.